I'm happy to have my boy B on, man. This is all good, man. Let's do this shit.
You're listening to the Pillaging Podcast, companion podcast to PillagingJustForFun.com, the only Raider fan site made by Raider fans for Raider fans. Tune in every Tuesday on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. Call and leave us a message to be played on air, 408-909-PJFF. Also, follow us on Twitter, @PillageJustForFun. That's @PillageJust4Fun. I'm your host, Kenny Stapler, joined every week by Raider Kane. It's time to pillage another podcast. What's good, Kane?
What's good, Kenny, man? Everything is good, man. You know, it's another week playoff games, bro. You know, disappointment this week. I thought the outcomes of the games, I just didn't like them. What's up with you, baby?
Not much, man. I just been out here on my grind. I'm working a lot. I'm doing about 50, 60 hours a week. I got this album I'm trying to wrap up. That'll be dropping early this summer. And then, just trying to be on this podcast. If you're on the website and you're listening to this and you haven't seen new content, we do have new content. If you've submitted content and it hasn't been posted yet, I got it. I got you. It's going to be going up soon. We got a big show this week, actually. It's going to be a long show. If you haven't already checked the runtime, it's going to be a little extra long, but I think it's going to be well worth it. We got a special guest on this week. We got Boss Man joining us in the second segment. We're going to be talking about the Raiders and potential move to Vegas and the stadium situation and all of that. Stay tuned. The conversation probably not exactly what you might expect it to be. I think it's going to be a good conversation, and I really want everybody out there to tune in and listen to it. I think there's something for everybody in it, hopefully. Also this week, we got Adventures in Babysitting. That's right. Ken Norton Jr.'s got a brand new babysitter. We're going to talk about John Pagano. And, of course, JDR, the man, the myth, the extension. And we'll talk about that. So let's get into it. First and foremost, John Pagano. He's coming over from San Diego, and he's going to be, hold on, let me see. Let me check my notes. I believe he's going to be the assistant head coach to the special teams brother-in-law's wife's cousin's girlfriend's babysitter to the defense. Right? So
I like that.
What does that all mean?
I have no clue, man. I have never in the history of the NFL heard of a coach, assistant head coach / defense. What does that mean? Is that a getting us ready to get rid of Ken Norton Jr. or is that just JDR covering his own ass? What is it?
If you're going to fire Ken Norton Jr., fire Ken Norton Jr. We need to get an assistant head coach, offensive coordinator, and retain Bill Musgrave. I mean, what? I can't figure it out. I'm sitting here on air with y'all, and I can't make sense of it. I'm looking at John Pagano's history in San Diego. They were the 13th ranked defense last year. They were decimated by injury. They led the league with 18 interceptions. Those are all good numbers. Cool. What's up, John? Where's your office? What exactly do you do here? And I feel like, yeah, maybe he's in charge of being a babysitter. Maybe he's the liaison between Jack and Ken. But Jack, you're the head coach. Shouldn't you already be sitting in on these meetings? Why do you need an assistant head coach for a side of the ball that is supposedly your specialty position that you actually played at the pro level? So I'm really scratching my head. I was hoping you can help me make sense of this, but what you've told me is that I'm not crazy, right?
No, listen, bro. Look, this is all what we talked about today earlier. Listen, man, this guy is getting he's in negotiations. What the rumor is, Jack Del Rio is in negotiations for an extension, a contract extension. He's got 2 years left on his contract. So my question, to Mark Davis, I guess, because he's the one that will make that decision. Why are we visiting this right now? A. And then B, you're revisiting it and you're also hiring a babysitter for Ken Norton, because that's basically what it is. It's like, okay, you hired an assistant coach / defense. Are you saying that Ken Norton's job is on the line? I mean, you told us it wasn't. So if you hire somebody to babysit him, what does that say about you, Jack Del Rio? Because you're a defensive mind too. So do you, what, are you questioning your own decision making, or do you want to just be able to blame somebody else if this shit don't go right? I don't understand why we hired this guy instead of just, and I wasn't, I did not want Ken J to be fired, just Ken Norton Jr. to be fired. I did not want him to be fired, but you kept him, and now you brought in somebody to basically babysit this guy. I mean, what's going on here? This is a sign of dysfunction, in my opinion. I mean, you're in a year where the Raiders are trying to give you an extension. You go out and you allow the offensive coordinator to walk, which I'm fine with, and you bring up the next guy. You don't do anything about the defensive coaching staff other than fire the defensive backs coach. And then you turn around and hire somebody to come in as the assistant coach / defense. I don't know, Jack. It just don't make no sense. And then you in the midst of getting renewed, or they trying to rework an extension for you, you know, and everybody wants to say Mark Davis is the businessman of the year, and, you know, he's making good decisions about taking the team to Las Vegas, this and that. He brought the team back together. He hired Jack Del Rio. He brought in Reggie McKenzie, this and that. What is he doing now? Now you have added another coach to the staff who basically, what is he going to do? He's not coordinating the defense. He's not the head coach, but he's in between. What is he going to do? Be there until you get ready to fire Ken Norton Jr.?
The only sense I can make about this is that K&J is maybe the linebacker specialist and is going to deal with the front seven, and Pagano, having a pretty good secondary over there in San Diego the last few years, is maybe in charge of the secondary for the Oakland Raiders. It's interesting.
Well, then hire him as the DB coach.
And the only reason why I could think why they didn't do that is because Pagano's coming off of 4 years as a defensive coordinator. So taking a demotion to that level maybe is beneath him. And so giving him that title and probably a little more pay than a position coach would get is what lured him over here. Because we basically right now have 3 defensive coordinators on the staff. So that's the only way I could make sense of it. And I know that's a stretch, but that's the
too
only
many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, and that's a big issue. That's a major issue that I see with this. So you touched on it briefly, Jack Del Rio's extension. So they're working on this right now. And this is not a contract year for Jack Del Rio, yet they're negotiating a 2-year extension. There are a lot of question marks that come with this. Now, I know you don't want Jack Del Rio fired, but I know that this raises some concern for you, or rather, I should say you have concerns about this. What are some of those concerns, and what's your issue with this sort of early extension?
Well, although we were 12-4, you know, I attribute that 12-4 to Derek Carr. I don't attribute that 12-4 to Jack Del Rio. I mean, hey, look, he's a motivator of people, and he probably kept the team together as long as Derek Carr was winning games. But as soon as Derek Carr wasn't on the field, this team looked like they didn't look like the team that they had on the field with Derek Carr. You know, so what I'm trying to say is this. Was it time to actually look at Jack Del Rio's contract? I don't think so. I think you could have waited. You got 2 years left. So you could have waited till this year. Let us see if there's a slip off. Because let me ask you a question, Raider fans. If we go 10-6 next year, is that a drop off? Did we decline? If we go 10-6 and we don't win the division and we end up being the number 5 or 6 seed in the playoffs, is that better than what we was at 12-4 with a healthy Derek Carr for 16 games with a harder schedule? I just think it was time to. This year was a year that you You look at Jack Del Rio at this season because the schedule is harder. We play a lot better teams. Now, if we go 12-4 in 2017, you give Jack Del Rio a pass and you give him, that contract. But if we go 10-6 in 2017, what does that say? Does that say that we was better? Does that say that we was the same? And at 10-6 gets you the number 6 seed, this year. So what does that say for Jack Del Rio? Do you look at him and say let's extend him now, or do you say let's wait one more year? In my opinion, I think you wait one more year because look, he's a motivator of men, but maybe he has motivated us as far as he can take us out to 2017. That's just my opinion, and I don't want to see him fired. So
yeah, I think that it could be looked at both ways. The team does go 12-4. It's been an improvement year after year. I think that any team that loses an MVP quarterback is going to sag no matter what the coaching staff looks like. There are some staffs in the league that are elite. I don't think ours is elite. I think ours is above average. But I also don't disagree with you. There is really no rush to get this done. So really, as an owner, it just makes more sense to sit back, wait and see before pushing all your chips into the middle of the table. The only way again, this is another stretch, but the only way I can make sense of it is that headed into this next season with the front office going to be very consumed with relocation efforts or possibly stadium deal in Oakland or however that hashes out, that they wanted to sort of tie up some loose ends before they get into that and land their supposed big fish or, their franchise head coach, if that's the way they're looking at it, and they don't want to sit and wait because they're going to have their hands tied moving forward. And again, that's a stretch. That's just me trying to make sense of all of this. So I both agree and disagree with you. I feel like, yeah, this guy deserves it, but does it hurt to sit back and wait a little bit? Nope, not at all. And he probably should.
Does he really deserve it? Does he really deserve it? He's under contract. He's under contract for 2 more years. You went 7-9 last year. You went 12-4 this year. What do you deserve? When the quarterback got hurt, and mind you, you are the defense coach, head coach, but you defensive minded. So mind you, when the quarterback went down, that was your time to make the defense show who you are. You didn't do that, Jack. So is it really a good time to extend this guy? And why are we extending him if you're extending him? Give me a reason why you're extending Jack Del Rio other than the fact that you might be moving to Vegas and you want to just secure this guy because you don't want to not have a head coach. I mean, what other reason are you extending him? Because he ain't done nothing. I mean, as far as, you brought the team to 7-9 last year. We 12-4 this year because of Derek Carr, not because of Jack Del Rio. The defense didn't shine. They gave up 1,000 yards in the first 2 games, bro. And then they progressively got better throughout the year. And you want to blame Ken Norton Jr., you know what I'm saying? That's cool. But Jack Del Rio had his hands on the defense too. And if I'm an owner of a team, I'm looking at Ken Norton Jr. and I'm looking at Jack Del Rio. The reason why I'm looking at Jack Del Rio is because you got a defensive coordinator. You're a defensive-minded coach. So if it was something wrong with the defense and you was that good of a defensive coach, then you would have stopped the bleeding. And you know what I'm saying? You did the best you could, like we all said. The defense got progressively better during the season. Okay, and when the playoffs showed up, matter of fact, let's not even talk about the play. Let's just talk about every time Carolina, Derek Carr gets hurt, defense slips, almost loses the game. Colts, Derek Carr gets hurt, defense slips, almost loses the game. Playoffs, Derek Carr's not there. Defense shows up, but they show up as best they can. Okay, so they showed up best they could. not good enough as a head defensive coach to say you could be a head coach and get an extension for 2 more years when you ain't done shit. That's all I'm saying. And I don't want Jack Del Rio to get fired, but I want Jack Del Rio to prove that he's worthy of a 2-year extension. And in my opinion, you ain't worthy of a 2-year extension, bro. You're not. We could have waited until you fight this harder schedule that you got right now in front of you. If you 12-4 at the end of 2017, then you deserve an extension. But if you go 10-6, what does that say?
What if they go 10-6 and win the Super Bowl? What now?
Okay, if they go 10-6 and win the Super Bowl, give him a contract extension. I mean, come on, that's obvious, bro.
All right.
I mean, that's obvious.
All right. Well, I think that about says it. I think that encapsulates everything. That's our first half of our show. We're going to move on to break. We're going to hear from some of our callers. And when we come back, we're going to have a special conversation with Boss Man. And we're going to let you know who's the boss. So we're going to get up out of here. We'll catch you guys on the other side. For right now, we out here.
Peace out, Raiders.
You're listening to the Pillaging Podcast. Companion podcast to PillagingJustForFun.com, the only Raider fan site made by Raider fans for Raider fans, featuring fan-submitted articles and the most lively Raider Nation conversation on the internet. Follow us on Twitter @PillageJustForFun. That's @PillageJust4Fun. Also, tune in every Tuesday on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio.
Hey, Kenny, this is Raider Cat Dave. I know you're there. Pick up the damn phone. Dang it, Kenny. Pick up the phone. Jiminy Christmas.
Okay, I took too long on the last call just to wrap it up. Just some of the calls with Del Rio, I question. But, he's I think overall he's done a pretty good job. And I guess the next call I'll chime in on my thoughts on free agency. Just one quick one on Terry Poe. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.
Yo, what up, Kenny and Kane, this is Raider Mondo from out here in Baylor country. Just wanted to give you guys props and call in and let you guys know that you guys are my new go-to for anything and everything that's Raider Nation. Love the fact that you guys keep it 100 all the time. You guys ain't scared to take a side, whether it's something that Raider Nation is going to agree with or disagree with. So keep on doing what you guys are doing, and I'm going to keep on tuning in. Thanks.
All right, and we're back. So the Raiders recently filed for relocation in Las Vegas. There's a lot of folks out there that think, oh, this is the real deal. Here we go. They're going to Las Vegas. I'm here to say pump the brakes, and I got 2 guys with me that I want to talk to you about it as well. My take on it, really quick in a nutshell, and I'll let these folks get after it. This deal is still no further along than it was 2 weeks ago. It's still not much further along than it is in Oakland. And here's Kane and our special guest this week, Boss Man, to tell you why. So let's start with you, Boss Man. Where does this situation sit right now, and how close are the Oakland Raiders to becoming the Las Vegas Raiders?
Man, please. They're close like Britney Spears and Mike Tyson in a boxing match. Get out of here, dude. This is not going to happen. I don't care about the $750 million that you guys pushed through by means of shady Sheldon Adelson paying off people. I don't care what Mark Davis says or what he does. The NFL owners are not going to go to the 42nd largest television market, abandoning the 6th largest market. Yes, I know the 49ers are here, but CBS is the most watched network in America. You lose the CBS crowd, man, are you crazy? Are you really, really that crazy? The NFL makes a lot of money off advertising. And when you're in a certain bigger market, they pay certain points towards that. So you can just imagine how much advertisers are paying to CBS or whoever to have the rights to broadcast here in the Bay Area and have these eyes on television sets to view their propaganda through commercials, political stuff, whatever. And you're trying to go to Las Vegas, a place where people are not really making money. Understand, people, Las Vegas is a city built on losers, whereas the Bay Area is built on winners. Where would you want to be at? This is just ridiculous. And then, you go to the Las Vegas Journal from last week. Richard Vallada had a article detailing all the hurdles that Las Vegas has to go through. There isn't a term sheet for the lease on the land. They don't even have land bought yet. They're so-called reportedly an option to buy the land. They don't know who's going to pay for the relocation fee. They don't have any developers yet. They're still in the infancy stages of getting this thing done, and he wants to try to go in front of the NFL owners without a complete financing plan, without a lot of things even secure, to say, let me go to this small market. This is crazy. I mean, he's saying he's putting in $500 million. And, Andy Dolich of the Bay Area just had an article up today. Mark Davis doesn't have $500 million. I didn't need Andy Dolich to tell me that, but everybody knows that if you look at the proposal by Mark Davis, and they have it up, you guys can find it on Scrib.com. A lot of his $500 million is the PSL sales and taking on more debt. This guy's going to take on more debt just to go to Las Vegas. So I don't want to hear people talk to me that, it's about money. This is all about ego. This is a guy who was intellectually intimidated by people in the Bay Area. He doesn't have the brain power or the wherewithal to make things work here. He has not reached out to any Bay Area bigwigs, big investors. There's at least 25 to 30 people who can bankroll this thing themselves, but Mark wants nothing to do with it. There's people already involved with the Raiders that can do this. The Perry Group right now, Paul Leff and them, my gosh, look at their portfolio. They can do this right now, but I've been told by people, real people who are in the know, who work with the NFL, who are beat writers, all kind of stuff, that Mark Davis doesn't want to lean on their help because he wants the credit for doing things. This is all about ego, ladies and gentlemen. He has an ego because he felt so-called disrespected by the city tripling the rent on him when he's paying DJ Hayden $3.3 million to do nothing. So I'm paying $3.5 million. The city was losing money on the $925,000 a year lease. Come on, man. They have to make money. It's a business deal. You can't be the only one making money. So this whole thing is run amok. And guys, I'm going to end it off with this. The Chargers went to L.A. 2 teams in L.A. means Las Vegas is dead. They're not going to allow L.A. this time to fail. That means they have to do a lot of heavy creative marketing to have those teams be the highlight of the L.A. area. Because if the Raiders are in Las Vegas, with that big faction of L.A. Raider fans and just Southern California in general, they're going to be paying attention to the Las Vegas Raiders. They're going to have direct TV on, having their eyes on the Las Vegas Raiders. They're not going to be looking at commercials that these advertisers are paying all this money for, or they're going to be paying their PSL money for the Las Vegas Stadium. Come on, this is backwards hustling to allow for your LA franchises to suffer. And I'm telling you right now, Dean Spanos and Stan Kroenke are no. And if Stan Kroenke is a no, his buddy is Jerry Jones. I guarantee you Jerry Jones is a no too. This thing is dead. And I wish you would get on Twitter or Facebook and try to dispute me because I'll bury you.
Well, what do you think about the Raiders and the NFL saying that 3 teams moved within a 12-month span? Do you think that the NFL will allow 3 teams to move within a 12? I mean, that basically says that you're unstable as a franchise, the NFL itself. I mean, so, moving 3 teams in 3 years, moving 3 teams in 12 months, that's a really big hurdle for the NFL. And it also doesn't say a lot about the NFL. So what do you think about that?
Well, it's happened before. 20 years ago, the Rams and Raiders in 1995 moved. And then shortly after, in the beginning of 1996, the Cleveland Browns became the Baltimore Ravens. But with that there was so much backlash for the Cleveland Browns thing. The NFL, instead of letting them be the Baltimore Browns, because there's merchandise that said the Baltimore Browns, they made them the Baltimore Ravens, and they promised the next expansion team was going to be Cleveland. Now, I don't think the NFL is going to do anything like that right now, but given that the NFL is just stuck in a pool of controversy over the last 4 or 5 years, they're already looking bad with St. Louis, the 21st largest market, losing the team to LA, and then San Diego, the 28th largest market, losing in infamy, losing their team. I just don't think it's wise with all the bad pub, because these guys don't like bad PR. It just wouldn't make any sense, because if you think Charger fans throwing eggs and burning stuff in front of the Chargers facility is bad, can you imagine here? Let me tell you, people, I know my people up here. It won't be cool. It won't be safe. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to do anything, but I know some crazy mofos up here that would, and it wouldn't be safe for Mark Davis, Mark Bedane, or anybody who's supporting the Las Vegas move. It's not smart.
It's not going to be pretty. And Libby Schaff came out this week. She actually had a statement refuting the proposal and pleading to the NFL to help them keep the Raiders in Oakland. The problem that we have here is we still need the Raiders to come sit down at the table. What's it going to take for that to actually happen? Because you talked about Mark Davis, you talked about his ego. He's going to have to swallow an awful amount of pride to come back here. And on top of that, how does Raider fan feel now about the Davis family? Our relationship with them is already turbulent. It's already love, hate. It's up and down. I mean, you can ask any Raider fan how they feel about Al Davis, and you'll get 1,000,001 different stories. So in order for them to stay in Oakland, what needs to happen, and what does that transition look like on the Mark Davis side? What's your gut feeling there?
Well, it would be nice if he came to the table, but deep down, I don't want him to come to the table. I don't want to do a deal with Mark Davis. I don't trust him as a businessman. I don't trust him as a person to do the right things when it comes to leading this franchise into the future, into the next decade. And I don't trust him. And I don't really think in my gut that Mark Davis, even if he gets told no to Vegas, that he's going to sit down with Oakland. I think Mark Davis thinks that he's just like his father when he is nothing like his father. He is not a figure of force, of respect. He is not a figure of brilliance like Al Davis, who had about 11,000 pages when he filed to go to L.A. and he took the NFL to court. He's still going to try to do it because Mark Davis, as I said, is not really a smart man. He's not bright. He thinks he can do what he wants to do. As I was telling you before we start airing, at the last NFL owners meeting in December, he stood up in front of all the owners and said, we're going. And April 28th last year at the SNTIC committee meeting, he said, I'll give the NFL an offer they can't refuse. That's a threat. Mark Davis, I'm predicting, and it's stupid for him to do it, is going to try to take the NFL to court and try to get to Las Vegas. And when he loses, he's going to have to give up the team, because when you do an antitrust case and you lose, you have to pay for the other side's court fees. That will bankrupt Mark. He's going to have to sell the team. We're going to get this guy out of here now.
Let me ask you, let me just follow up with that. Look, so if Mark Davis does get voted to stay in Oakland, do you actually think he will take that team to Las Vegas like his father did and go to, went to LA? Because, see, this is the thing. There's no certain deal in place. When Al took his team to L.A., he had a stadium to play in. So he was able to, fortify what he was saying. Whereas Mark, he doesn't have a place to play. He thinks he's going to play in Oakland until 2018 and get a new stadium. So how could Mark actually go to court and try to fight for this and still stay in Oakland and still keep the fans? This is a two-part question, because I want to know what your thoughts are on both segments. I want to know if you think he really is going to try to do what you said, A, and B, does he think he can do that and still stay in Oakland?
Yes, he does. I'm going to keep saying it. This isn't a very intelligent man. I was at the Leafs press conference last year in February, and I was one of the last people to get the comment in, or at least ask a question. I asked him why the tarps were up, and he said to me, and I kid you not, he said the reason why he's going to have the tarps on what's called Mount Davis, and it shouldn't be called Mount Davis because the A's owners, Schott and Hoffman, the ones that are the reason for that big old monstrosity. But he said if there are 100 seats empty on TV, it looks like 1,000. Now think about that. Does that make any sense? Anybody with any type of working brain cells know that 1,000 and 100 do not look anything alike. But that was his justification. If you're gonna lie, at least sound smooth or sound believable with your lie. I mean, that's just awful. But yes, this guy believes that precedent was set with his father. He thinks that he has what it takes to take on the league, and he doesn't want to be here. He has been trying to leave Oakland for LA.
But he doesn't have a place to play though. He doesn't have a place to play.
Exactly. So, but he'll be stubborn enough.
You go to court.
I know that, but he'll be stubborn enough to say, you know what? I'll play at Sam Boyd just to spite it because hey, the Chargers are playing at the 30,000 seat StubHub Center because that's what he was going to try to play if he got the rights to LA. But I think he would be that stubborn because he got put in his place again. Remember how upset and the tantrum he threw when he lost LA last year. I mean, this guy is a loose cannon who is spoiled and entitled little boy who's never had to work in his life. His first job that he really ever got in his life was when his father died, when he inherited the team. This guy has not worked like we have. And the only thing this dude ever
did was the Raider image. Raider image. That's it. That's all he's ever done for the Raiders or the mob.
Whatever the Raider image. I mean, whatever. I mean, people will more likely shop online to get their Raider gear than go to Raider image. I don't know.
I'm glad you brought up Sam Boyd Stadium because it's already been deemed not appropriate for an NFL game. But the university said that they would be willing to make upgrades to accommodate the Raiders' needs. If you're listening to this right now and you've never seen Sam Boyd Stadium, just go Google it, check out the pictures, and get back to me because that place is trash. That place is a dump. It looks like a high school stadium. So, yeah, that's laughable. That ain't going to happen. So, lastly, before we wrap this up, and by the way, we're chilling again with Boss Man. You can hit him up on Twitter. He's real active on Twitter. It's Bossman82. That's BAUCE_MAN82. Check him out on there. He's active and a good follow. If you agree with him or not, he's still a good follow. A must follow for any Raider fan, I would say. So to wrap this up, the city of Oakland has until February 15th to present a proposal to keep the team in Oakland. Now, if they don't and the owner's vote doesn't pass, they still have more time to submit a proposal. This isn't the end of the world. But as things stand right now, they have until the 15th. Do you think we're going to see something before then, Boss Man?
Totally. I can only say that. That's all I'm allowed to say. Yes, we're going to see something. And if you don't see it by February 15th, expect an extension, and that before any so-called owners meeting down in Arizona, you're going to see something. Ronnie Lott and his group are doing a lot of work from what I'm told. They're not doing a bunch of talking to the media like some people are in Las Vegas. They're just going at it. They're talking to the NFL every day. They know what it is that they have to do. We're going to see if they come through, but they know what they have to do. I mean, this is an ENA. The land deal isn't even 100% complete yet. They're still going to have to go to another vote with the county and are going to have to get Wilma Chan or Keith Carson on. I would say Carson's going to be a no, but Wilma Chan being pro-union and how much the union is backing this and how this can really up the union jobs and the pay, Wilma Chan's eventually going to fold on this.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Boss Man. What else you got, Kane? You got more questions for Boss Man?
Yeah, I just got one question, baby. What's the biggest, the most fun experience you've had at a Raider game? What? Give me a tailgate. Tell me a tailgate. Give me one tailgate that you really, really enjoy attending at home.
Man, dude, you put me on the spot, man. Come on, dude. You know,
hey, man, I gotta do that, bro, because we got our own tailgate. I just want to know if is Dwayne, Hawaiian Raider tailgate, is that the best tailgate, or is that the give it to me, baby, straight up.
You know what? Normally, I'm ready for any question. Man, I ain't ready for this one, man. You dirty for this, man. But there's a lot of great ones. 66 Mob, Forever Oakland. I'm always over down by there. We tailgate all weekend for home games. Mama D's tailgate in the D lot, usually in row 6 or row 8 is great. The Shell Rocha doing the Tailgate Kings thing he had for the Buffalo Bills game.
Who got the best food? If you was gonna tell me to go to a tailgate and I'm gonna get fed real nice,
man. But I'm gonna tell everybody this: you go by Hawaiian Raiders tailgate, man. You got to get chicken, lumpia, tri-tip. If you eat pork, which I don't, you get ribs. You got the other dude over there making swordfish, salmon bagels. He got oysters. You can't really lose at Dwayne's one. And then let me tell you something about them. Them cats drink Hennessy. I think Hennessy should sponsor that tailgate, man. If you're into medical research, I don't judge anybody, but if you're into medical research, there's an abundance of that product all around there, man. So people ever get a chance, Hawaiian Raiders tailgate, and they on point, man. They can't. They undefeated in my mind. Every time I go down there, I don't have one complaint, not one complaint. But all the tailgates I go through was great. But I've been dealing with these guys 6, 7, 8 years. They awesome too, man. You can't lose there.
Hey, actually, since you brought it up, before we get out of here, and I'm glad you brought it up, Kane, the tailgating experience. Before we came on the podcast tonight, I was talking to you, and you gave us a lot of good information right now about relocation. But just to kind of tie it all together and put a bow on it, your personal life as a Raiders fan and the tailgate and the importance of them staying in Oakland and how it relates to the tailgate. Can you touch on that again for us here on the show?
Yeah.
Talking to me?
I'm talking to Boss Man. You too, Kane, but Boss Man had a story. He's talking about how generations deep he is and the type of people he comes across and what he sees out there that he doesn't see other places. Can you kind of reset that for me?
Yeah. Well, my grandfather started this Raider thing in 1960 at Kezar Stadium. Jim Otto was playing, a guy who scored our first touchdown by the name of Tony Teresa. He was like an all-purpose guy for the Raiders. So, this thing is generations deep. It's passed down to my father, who was at all the great games, the Heidi games, C.A. Hands, the 1976 AFC Championship where they finally got over the hump. So there's a lot of history. A lot of things have been passed down. And I tell people, I didn't have a choice in being a Raider. I went around my grandparents' house. All I saw was old ticket stubs, programs, and everything. I'm born into this. And there are a lot of people who share the same sentiment as me. I have a friend, he's on Twitter too, at Raider Bounty, and he talked about the first time he got to go to a Raider game, because he's from Southern California originally. He said he'd never seen black people and white people and other races jumping and hugging each other, high-fiving like they had in Oakland when the Raiders scored or did a big play. That's special. In that lot, no matter what lot you're in, you're seeing tailgates, just like Dwayne's tailgate, Hawaiian Raider. You're seeing mixed races, mixed couples, different types of music, everybody getting along the way the world should be. You have people of different economic backgrounds, ethnic codes, religion, politics. whatever you want to jump into. I mean, shoot, I remember a few years ago, I rolled a big blunt with a guy who was a Navy captain or something. I mean, you know, you have all people of all walks of life in there, and they all come together on this Raider thing. And that symbolizes how we grew up here in the Bay Area. We grew up around Hispanics, white kids, Vietnamese, Chinese, Filipinos. I mean, and it's a beautiful blended pot of everything. And you see that at the Raider game, and that's why it's so special. That's what our parents and my grandparents created back in the 60s. And we are going to fight to keep this here and pass it along. It's a beautiful thing. I don't understand how anybody thinks it's okay to break that up, because you're not going to get real authentic things like that in sports anymore. And you have to preserve that. The Raiders are mom and pop store, gritty and grimy operation. Big lights, Hollywood stars with shaded glasses and cocaine running out of their noses and stuff. That ain't the Raiders, man. Come on, people. Let's stick with it. Even if you're from out of the state, and I have Raider people like Big Ron up in Seattle, my guy Ed Marshall in Alaska, Cobweb over in Iowa, my man Kurt Eisler in Denver. I mean, these guys here, you know, man, they from out the way, and they have love for Oakland. So I love those guys. So, you know, we got to keep this thing going, but we are going to keep, because the Raiders are staying in Oakland.
Yeah, I mean, great. Thanks for wrapping it up for us like that. And really just to kind of reset something you said, civil rights in the 1960s, a big part of that, one of the epicenters of that time was Oakland, California. And if you don't know that, I encourage you to go dig into the history books and check that out. And just to kind of bring that full circle, the time that we're living in right now, a time that America is so divided on two sides, having a community like this that brings together so many people for such a large part of the year, and for some of us year round, is truly important. Raider Nation is one of the most important fraternities still in the America today, or in the world today. And I think your story really sheds a lot of light on that. I think that more people need to know that side of you as well. And thank you for sharing it with us today on the show. And thanks for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
No sweat, man. Have me on again.
Hey, anything you want to say before you get out of here? You want to plug anything, your Twitter, anything you got going on? Any shout outs?
Yeah, I mean, boss man, man, shout out to all the people who follow me. I mean, Rico Johnson, Fred and Eric Walker, Dr. Def, my guy Ed Toomey, David Huerta, Austin Orbiga, all the 66 Mile people, Godfather Grizz Jones, the Hawaiian Raider, my man, his tailgate, Mama D, everybody who I mess with, I hang with at the games, man. I love you guys, man. I do it for all you people here in Northern California. A lot of people talk to me all the time about things they want to be said, and I'm just really speaking for you guys. So without you guys, man, boss man is nothing. So I appreciate you.
Kane, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
I just want to say thanks, bro, for coming on, man. You my boy. You know what I'm saying? And I've been saying all season, I'm going to get you on, man. You here? And you know what? You just blew it up, bro. This was awesome. You know what I'm saying? Good time having you on. I look forward to having you back. And I look forward to having you back after the March owners meetings. So we can talk about the decision that was set forth by Mark Davis, bro. Thanks for coming on, pimp.
You heard it first, folks, and we will have you back on. Boss Man will be back on here, hopefully going to be a regular part of the show, coming in and out and dropping some knowledge on us. And thanks again. Thanks for everybody out there. Shout out to everybody on the blog. I've been MIA. Kenny's been going through some stuff, and he's been working hard. He's been grinding. He's on the music thing. But I'm coming back, y'all, so mind your P's and Q's. That's it for this week's show, y'all. Tune in every week on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. Also, follow us on Twitter, @PillageJustForFun. That's @PillageJust4Fun. Call us and leave a message to be played on air, 408-909-PJFF. I'm Kenny Stapler, joined every week by my co-host,
Raider Kane.
We out here. Peace. Go Raiders.
We out here, baby. Raiders.
Like a freight train coming, you're blowing the town. Like a diesel motor, you never shut down. With your your eyes.